So welcome to this, the final Learn a Pose of a Lift the Spirits campaign. So this is week 8, unbelievably. I wasn't sure how long it was going to last and it's still going. It's almost got us to the end of lockdown. The end is in sight, which is wonderful. I'm actually going to be starting a YouTube channel quite shortly, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So all content from this series and other content I will get uploaded onto that channel, so it'll be open and available to you all, and for those who aren't on Instagram as well. So I'm holding in front of me is this book, The Light on Yoga, and it's relevant for today because my workshop is on Headstand, Sarasana in Sanskrit, and this book is by Iyengar. Iyengar is one of the fathers really of sort of more modern day yoga, and I go to him as a real reference because he's a big believer in, he was really the proponent of, I'm such a Miss Malaprop, I might be using the wrong word, but he really brought about restorative yoga. Of course, we've got Judith Lassiter now, who is really the mother of restorative yoga, but Iyengar is someone I've always gone to, because one of my yoga mentors really goes to him as a reference point. And this book is really wonderful because it goes into great depth and description on all the different poses. I mean, he puts his body into places and bends and twists that most humans definitely can't. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying to do what he does here, but some of his learnings and readings and points and discussion points around poses are just brilliant. And I love what he talks about with headstand. So you might have heard about the gunas. So sattva, rajas and tamas. And they are three qualities that are associated with humans. So sattva is harmony, essentially, so harmony and balance. Rajas is fire, and tamas or tamasic is more of a kind of dull inertia. So sometimes those comparisons have actually there have been comparisons made between the gunas and the nervous system. So sattva being more the rest and digest, rajas being the fire, fight and flight, so more fiery, and then tamasic and tamas can sometimes just be associated with low mood and when your vagus nerve, for instance, isn't functioning properly, which can also be associated with depressive states. Anyway, sideline. But what he talks about here is he believes that that harmony is found in the head, because when we're born, in most instances, the head comes out first. So he sees a headstand as being a really powerful way of bringing our whole body back into harmony. He talks about it really rejuvenating the brain and the brain cells, helping to calm the mind, also helping our respiratory system, also helping to keep our body warm and helping our lymphatic system. So coming into any inversion helps with moving lymph fluid around the body, because lymph fluid doesn't have a pump like our circulatory system has to pump. You know, we have our heart to pump blood around our body. We don't have a pump for our lymphatic system, so we have to rely on moving, which is why yoga is so good for immunity. So that's another reason why Iyengar talks about Sarasana being the king of poses. So shoulder stand, which I did a few weeks ago, he talks about as being the queen. So they have similar qualities. If you have high or low blood pressure, I'd just be cautious about practicing too much headstand. Also, if for ladies, girlies, women out there, if you have your period, it's very much up to you. There are a lot of books, texts, guidance that will say don't come into inversions because the apana energy, where at that time of the month, is moving downwards. So I just exercise caution. But if it feels good for you, then it's okay. I'd probably more do a restorative downward dog if you do want to come into an inversion. Anyway, I will kick off before I just keep talking and we don't do any workshop. So, headstand can be one of those poses, a little bit like crow, where you can get quite apprehensive, but it's a really wonderful, empowering pose, and it has all the health benefits as well. And it's really about conquering a bit of fear in the same way that crow is, where you feel you're going to fall on your head. It's that feeling of coming onto our head, because it's not usually where we hang out. We hang out on our feet, and then we're like, oh, I'm going to come onto my head. That's a bit odd. So you can always use a cushion. I'm not going to today, but use a cushion, make yourself comfortable. Also use a wall. I'm not going to because there's not a wall right here. Otherwise I would, to show you, show practice against a wall. But having a wall is great. Don't ever feel that that's weakness. Oh God, I'm using a wall. Go for it, use a wall. So you're often, the headstand you would have seen me do, it was actually this morning, with my little bubba in the background, was the kind of more traditional headstand where I have my hands interlaced behind my head. I'm not going to teach that one today. I will do another video of that when I get my YouTube channel up and running, but I'm going to do the just simpler version for today. It's still a headstand, there's no difference. So what we're going to do is, if you tuck your toes under, bring your knees down onto the mat, place your hands under your shoulders, and in the same way that you do in tabletop, really root down into the hands, spread the weight evenly across the hands and fingers. So really find your stability, and then bring your head, the crown of your head, down to the mat or onto a cushion, and just see how that feels. You know, if you haven't come into headstand before, that can feel quite full on, because it's the rush of blood to the head, quite literally. Coldplay's on, but you can feel it instantly. So that in itself can feel quite full on. So take it easy, and then from here, really root down. So your arms are your foundation, and what you don't want to do is collapse the arms out to the side or inwards. So by really evenly distributing the weight across your hands, that will really help to support, to keep your elbows directly over your wrists. So bring the crown of the head down, elbows over wrists, rooting down into hands, toes are tucked. Then you can lift up, so bring your tailbone up to the sky, and just take your feet for a little walk. Just get used to that sensation of being on your head. And then just see what it feels like to walk the feet up towards your hands. And then you can come back, bring the knees down, lift up. You know, do it in stages. Don't feel that you have to achieve everything in one day. If that's enough for one day, then great. You started. Headstand has started. If you want to give it another go, come back down. Bring the legs up. And then what you're going to do is you're using the tops of your arms as a ledge. They're your ledge. So you want to bring your feet up onto your forearms. So you're creating a table for them. So I've shown you, that's it in full, not the headstand. That's it. But that's one of the first stages. But you can just try that out just by bringing one foot on and then the other foot on. And then bring one foot and then bring the other foot, and then maybe see how it feels to bring both. And then come back up And that might be really enough for the day. I'm already feeling quite in my head. I'm feeling very alive, not foggy at all. So the king of poses is definitely doing its thing. I feel very oxygenated in my brain. But just as I said, take it easy. So that might take you a few days, might take you a week, might take you a few weeks. That is fine. There is no rush. There is no rush, because every time you try something out, you're moving forward and you're achieving, and also you're probably not thinking about anything else. So it's a great focus, a great distraction. Next step. So heads down. You've rooted down into your hands. You've brought your feet, knees rather, onto your tops of your arms. And then you're going to bring your feet together and start to lift up. So if you had a wall behind you, great. Because then you could rest your feet onto the wall. And then you can come back down. So you'll see that I'm really, I don't know if you can see on screen, but that's really working out into my arms, because I usually do this form of headstand. I come down and up, find my balance and stay. I actually find that simpler. This is really challenging. So this is not easy to do, because it really works into your arms. I mean, this is great for crow. You're going to find crow, I don't want to say easy, but easier once you've done this version of headstand. So stage after that is then bringing the legs up. And again, you can be against a wall to begin with, forever. Or you can just use that wall initially, and then one day you can just come away from it. And it's that one day where you come up and you trust and believe in yourself, that you can support yourself, that will feel like a real sense of achievement and accomplishment. And all that will happen if you go backwards is that you will roll and fall backwards. You're not going to injure yourself. You can always put cushions, get a big sofa cushion, put it down here so you can start against the wall, then bring the cushion, and then take away the cushion. And one day you just won't even think about it. So I don't think about it when I come into my headstand. I almost do more in this because I'm not used to it. So it is challenging. And I've been doing yoga a long time. So it's challenging, but it's great. So I'm coming up again, resting feet, keep calling them feet, knees onto my tops of my arms, and then I'm lifting up, 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 and up into my headstand. And that might not even be straight. So what I've demonstrated there is how good a workout a mini workshop in headstand is. If you want to give the other version a go, if I made that look incredibly hard, it's not. So this headstand I'd really recommend giving a go and really working through those steps that I showed you. The other one, just briefly, bring the forearms down onto the mat and then bring the fingers, interlace the fingers together. Place the crown of your head in front of your hands, and then you're taking up, and then you can, bring your legs up. And again, I might not have been completely straight. So that's the second version, which that would, you know, it's going to take practice, but it just depends what you find most comfortable for you. I started off with the tripod, so this one's called a tripod headstand, and I would really recommend coming into this first, and particularly cracking this nut. So this is a real, once you've got there, then lifting up to here feels a lot less scary. And there you have it. Little lunchtime workshop. And as you can see, I'm totally puffed out. So it's had its effect, but hopefully that helps. And hopefully that little bit of history, little story, not story, but little reference point from Iyengar. And this book, yeah, is absolutely brilliant. I'd highly recommend if you want to get more into yoga. It is a lot of words, but it's something you can just dip into, which is the kind of reference book I love. You do not need to read from start to finish. But have a great day. This is the last learner pose I'm going to be doing for a little bit, but I will be back on YouTube in the coming weeks, and I will let you know when that's all live. But enjoy your week. Hope you stay dry today out in the rain, and I will see you soon.